Welcome, everyone. Welcome, welcome. So happy to have you here. Great to see you. So many of you. We have some special guests today to talk about their local peace economies in their local CODEPINK community and what they're doing, hopefully to inspire others. We're excited to share what they're doing with you. And thank you so much for being here. We're going to wait a few minutes till more people arrive. But please, you can start putting your names and where you're coming in from. Hi, Ashley. Let us know where you're from. Put your name and your location so we have a sense of where folks are. Our guests are from across the country. So we want to see where everybody else is from. Hey, Tim, welcome. So this is a bit of a different one this week because there are local CODEPINK chapters that have been doing local peace economy projects. And we really wanted them to share. They're very inspiring. And I just get inspired by all everyone takes this into, and so that we can learn from them. Ashley, great. And Tim from San Jose. So yeah, just a reminder to everybody, stick your name in the chat and where you're coming in from. We have Pennsylvania, Los Angeles, San Jose. There's more people here. Let's see where you're from. Thanks, Meander. Detroit, Susan, yay. Okay. Also, is anyone here new? If you can go down to the bottom and react with your hand up. It says you just push on the little heart that says react, and there's a raise your hand. So if you could do that, and I'll definitely call on you and welcome you into our community. Billy from rural Washington. Oh, planning to move to Western Mass. Well, we have an amazing CODEPINK in Western Mass. I was just on the Western Mass radio show right before this. So that was fun. Pocky was the host, an hour. um, so Billy, do you know Macy? Iowa City, great. T and Davy in LA. Columbus, Ohio. Good to see you again. All right. I think people will start coming in, but we can begin. My name is Jody Evans, and I'm one of the co-founders of CODEPINK and the kind of holder of the Local Peace Economy Project. Thanks, Philly. Here at CODEPINK, and here with my partner, Marie Goodwin, who's the Local Peace Economy Coordinator. And so, like I said, we just kind of have a special call today. It will be available to other locals for people who want to engage more deeply in the local peace economy with their local. And so we've invited local leaders to share what they're doing. And so I want to just get us started. So we're going to start by grounding ourselves in our hearts, in our breath, which is life. And just, put your feet on the ground, take a few deep breaths. Let's arrive here in peace, in relationship, in our bodies, and turn it over to Marie to hear a piece of culture, a poem to take us out of our minds and into the magic of poetry.
Good evening, everyone. This poem that I picked for tonight is called Small Kindnesses by Danusha Lamaris. I don't know much about her as a poet. I know that she's contemporary. And I loved what it had to say about how small things are really important in the end, like the small things we do for each other. She writes, I've been thinking about the way When you walk down a crowded aisle, people pull in their legs to let you by. Or how strangers still say bless you when someone sneezes, a leftover from the bubonic plague. Don't die, we are saying. And sometimes when you spill lemons from your grocery bag, someone else will help you pick them up. Mostly, we don't want to harm each other. We want to be handed our cup of coffee hot and to say thank you to the person handing it to us, to smile at them and for them to smile back to us. For the waitress to call us honey when she sets down the bowl of clam chowder, and for the driver in the red pickup truck to let us pass. We have so little of each other now, so far from tribe and fire, only these brief moments of exchange. What if they are the true dwelling of the holy, these fleeting temples we make together when we say, here, have my seat. Go ahead, you first. I like your hat. That's
Ah,
that's the poem.
thank you. Marie, so great to just remind us that it is those small things that build the world, and that is the peace economy. And we get stuck in the big, and the not doing, but the thinking and the fretting and the worrying and it is really these like one step in front of the other small acts of humanity that do build the world and the culture that we live in. So,
I wanted to just say one bit of bookkeeping or housekeeping that, like last week, if you weren't here last week, but if you were here last week, we're going to do breakouts differently. We're going to do them, well, we're doing them differently than we've done them for forever, but we're going to do them the same as we did last week, which is we're going to break towards the end of the meeting and allow you to stay in your breakout groups for as long as you wish to stay there. So just so you know that that's coming up.
great. Thank you so much for that reminder. All right, did you want to share? We're going to take you really quick through what we're here to do with a little slideshow, and then we'll move into the listening to our friends. So, Marie, did you disappear? I think she did. I don't see her. Oh, here she is. There we are. She became a slideshow.
Let me get it so that it is extended. You're seeing my whole background here. All right. So Jody, go ahead.
So, local peace economy, some of you are new, but most of you know, um, we're doing this local peace economy part as, you know, as I'm always saying, it's like it's part of what we do is local engagement, because yes, we're shining a light on, yes, we're scratching, yes, we're not accepting and we're not being silent in the face of violence. But if that's all there is and we're not building a future, we're stuck with just that engagement for the rest of our lives and the rest of, you know, centuries upon centuries of just being angry at what is instead of building what we want. And as we can see from this moment in time, no one's coming to save us. Matter of fact, they're coming to destroy us. So the local peace economy is more important than ever. And we need to, you know, really encourage our local groups to figure out how to engage that in their work. Next. So being human means relying on others for our life. It's how we start. It is our relationship with the mother, our first experience of peace and trust and giving. And so constantly having that experience in our life is what is the root and the roots of the local peace economy. You know, as we say, it's going back to cultivating home sweet home. And so for Mother's Day, it felt like, well, if as we learned from Genevieve Vaughn, it's the peace economy is out of the matriarchy. It is out of what first happens when you see in that picture of the holding of the mother, of creating that space of trust and giving, and of, you know, decades of just giving with nothing in return, except maybe, you know, a lot of a fight back. Next. So we've been organizing around Mother's Day ever since we started. And and before I really came to this war economy, peace economy thinking, we would be outside the White House and we would read Julia Ward Howe's proclamation. We would do what it says in the end. We would come together from around the country and we would like plan, like, how are we going to lead to peace? And, it was beautiful. We learned together for 24 hours. We camped out in front of the White House. We woke up and we wove roses into the White House. I was just with Susan Sarandon on Friday and talked about, the weaving of the roses. But once Obama got in, he arrested us. So it became, not the safest place to be. And he arrested moms on Mother's Day. So from then on, it was like, oh, we need to be building a peace economy, and that's locally. So let's take this, 22-year remembrance of this day that is a call from mothers to end war, and let's take it locally and really have where we are local. Um, so Maria's is highlighting that it was a group of women who wanted to reunite families after a brutal war that caused these women to fight for Mother's Day, and they were holding the Julia Ward Howe proclamation. I mean, I have at my house, it says in my house, everybody that comes in has to read it as a giant across the wall. It says, we will not raise our children to kill another mother's child. I mean, that's my motto. It's like, if we could all just do that, if every mother could just not raise their child to kill another mother's child, we're in peace. So it's like to come back to this day and to that proclamation. And so the part of the proclamation that uh I'm speaking to is where she says, let's all come together and not, not encourage war anymore. And we used to take that to, like, we'd be outside the White House. But now it's not only come together, but let's model what peace is in this time where, we're watching horrors nonstop. It's really, what is peace? Let's model it. Let's be it. Let's instead of like planning and thinking, let's do. It's all about the, like, what does it look like? How do we do it? How do we be it? So that's the plan. Um, and then uh, let's keep it simple and local. And I know starting something new always feels overwhelming, and that's why I'm excited to have our guests here today that can talk about, what they did and how they're doing it, because really it's relationship to your community. So it's really how it's for each person, how that looks in their community. So I think as we listen to others, we'll get other ideas. And keep it simple, keep it relational, keep it small. You can't do it wrong. All right, so let's hear from our guests. And I want to start with Nadia from New York City, who really came to Code Pink during this after October 7th. And her leadership and offering has been to engage the community together in culture and sharings of culture. And really, we say at Code Pink to educate, inspire, and activate. And her act engages the whole community, has them work together, has them come together, and together they educate, inspire, and activate all those coming by. And she moves from community to community. So it's an offering, and everybody knows how big New York is and full of communities. So it's also a movable feast. So Nadia.
Hi, everyone. I'm Nadia from the New York City chapter. Um, yeah, it's basically, Jody covered a lot of the major points that we try to pop up. We call it pop up for liberation. And we pop up in different neighborhoods around New York City. We usually try to go to working class neighborhoods predominantly, and offer a programming of art and education. Our main goal is political education, but we find that combining it with art makes it more like digestible for people somehow. I think it really makes people's guards fall down, and they're more willing to engage with their community members, and they're more willing to be open to ideas that they're not necessarily introduced to on a regular basis. And we try to go for audiences that are not typically in political spaces. So we try to hold these events in cafes, or like, maybe a bookstore, or a restaurant, and spaces that people would normally be going to anyway. And then we just kind of pop up there and have this arts and political education event. So we've mostly been to Palestinian and Yemeni owned establishments, and I'm sure there are other establishments as well that would be open to having anti-imperialist discussion. But yeah,
Nadia, could you share when you say arts?
yes.
If you could just make that visible for everyone, because because it's arts multiple across
Yeah.
the spectrum, and I think that's what's also beautiful.
Yeah, we've had a lot of live music. We've had people, like at our last one, someone was doing like an animation station, so people could, sit and draw, and then they would combine all their drawings and create animations. There are people who are selling art. We have little art station for the kids in some of these events. We also started outside, so sometimes we would go to public parks, we would go to plazas. And in New York City, we have privately owned public spaces, so it makes it a little bit trickier for police to harass us. So we just, try to occupy as many different spaces as possible. The indoors was more so because it gets cold here, but you can definitely do it outdoors. And yeah, just anything that comes to mind. We're thinking of having a live painter at the next one, so that could be fun for people to engage with. But yeah, just visual arts, music, poetry, anything to get, people tapped into that creative energy and let their guard down to be able to listen to political education that we're trying to essentially indoctrinate people out of Western, propaganda. So that's essentially
And
what
you
we're trying.
also had the community paint, the one at the UN. We were surrounded by art that said what was happening in Gaza, and so we were also surrounded by art,
Yeah.
and spoken word and singers, and yeah. So um can you share with, like, what are your frustrations? Because I think it's always good. And how have you gotten over some sticky, what have you learned along the way to help it go more smoothly? Anything you want to share with the other organizers?
Yeah, I would say outdoor is the biggest frustration. Being harassed by cops, or being harassed by building owners who want to tell you, oh, you can't be in this space. But, we know the law, and we just say, well, actually, we're allowed to use this space as a privately owned public space. And we come there prepared for those kind of confrontations with Zionists as well. We have some members in our chapter who are willing to engage and are very patient and are willing to have conversations with people. And we've actually had a lot of breakthroughs with some pretty ardent Zionists. So yeah, we found that that's kind of what motivated us to keep doing these events. And so now that we're inside, we haven't come across as many Zionists, but we still have been able to have really meaningful discussions with community members.
Thank you, Nadia. And I want to just say, well, outside we also recruited a letter carrier. So
Yeah.
Cynthia, you have your hand up? Cynthia is also having a pop-up for Liberation this weekend on Saturday in Berkeley.
Oh, nice.
Hi,
You
everyone.
are, right? What's your thing called on Saturday?
We're having our Code Pink spring gathering
Yes.
out in the area, and it's a 3-hour gathering with lunch and skills training on Signal and Instagram. And we have a honored guest, Nora Barrows Friedman, who
Ooh.
is the co-editor of the Electronic Intifada. She's our honored guest, and Jody's going to be there too.
Dang.
My question for you, Nadia, is do you have any videos of these wonderful sounding actions or photos that I could take a look at so I could see what some of these art projects are? We're gonna try to do some children's activities at our Mother's Day event, and I'm really curious to see what you've done. Thank you.
Sure. Well, for the art projects, we haven't taken many photos or videos of those, unfortunately, but I yeah, I would say that, you know, the things that we've done are like an animation, as I said, an animation station. You could just draw pictures, take pictures of the drawings and then kind of mash them together into a video. There have been other ideas about just making crafts. It could be any kind of crafts. If you want to do origami, if you want to do yeah, I mean, it's, you know, whatever crafts you've been doing lately that you think would be fun to share with other people. There's no limit, you know, really. But we have videos and pictures of the events itself. There was a report back. I can send a link for that.
That would be great. Nadia, if you could find it while we're here, you could even post it in the chat. And if not, we'll get it to Marie. We have a lot of I have a lot of videos from, so I could send too, but we've had report backs. She did a beautiful report back from the one in September. That's really comprehensive. Thanks for the question, Cynthia. Which is always a reminder. Report backs and pictures are important from everything you do because everyone's always looking to see so that they can stand on your shoulders. Nadia, thank you so much. So next I want to call on Charlotte and Tim to unmute. Charlotte and Tim are from CODEPINK San Jose. And really, they've been part of this since I launched it. I think they were my first audience, you know, like 12 years ago. Charlotte, Tim, take it away.
Sure. Hi, everybody. In San Jose, we're very lucky to have a space, the San Jose Peace and Justice Center. So I want to talk about a couple of peace economy related events that happen on a regular basis there. And one is called the Really Free Market. And basically, it's just a big garage sale, but no prices on anything. People can come and help themselves. And it just is it's a very popular event, as you can imagine. A lot of people coming to drop off stuff that they don't need, and then a lot of people coming, lining up to help themselves to stuff that they do need. And they do that like once a month. The people mostly who are involved with it are part of groups that are around the center that do mutual aid projects, working with people in the homeless, in the unhoused people in the encampments. The other project is the clothes swap. And this is also a very easy project to pull off. You just organize people to bring clothes that they don't wear anymore, clothes that don't fit, decent shape, but it doesn't have to be, it's, you know, used, so you can swap it. So that's very popular. And people, there's lots of racks of clothing that people can line up to go through and pick out what they need. And when they engage with these projects, they are in or outside the Peace and Justice Center. So even if they aren't hearing any political anything, they can see all the posters and slogans and banners and everything. So I think either one of those could be done as a garage sale kind of thing. If anybody has a garage that they want to turn into that kind of a little project, that would work, I think. Tim, do you agree?
Right. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, clothing swaps can be done by anyone, anywhere. But I'm already involved with the garden at the center, so I want to speak a little to that. We have a couple groups at the center, Food Not Bombs, and the other one escapes me right now, but we are really expanding the garden to grow food for the community. We are growing food. We have one group that cooks meals and serves meals to the homeless, and we want to supply that. So that's kind of where I'm involved. The center has a lot of different groups, doing a lot of good work for the community. Um, I wanted to say one more thing, but I forgot. But oh, anybody can grow food, and we're here to help people in their gardens and stuff. If you have any questions, Food Not Bombs would be more than help people learn how to grow food at home.
Thank you, Tim. Yes, and feeding each other, super important. The part about feeding each other, which I'm so happy to move to Meander, who's the Inland Empire, who I just love to death because I get to be on the thread and I watch what she does and I watch how, and I'm so impressed with their leadership because it has a patience and an open-heartedness, and in that so many people want to be engaged because everything feels good and there's a yes that happens in Meander's leadership. So Inland Empires in California, if anybody doesn't know, southeast of Los Angeles. Meander, take it away.
Yeah, thank you for the introduction. Apologies in advance if I'm hard to hear because I'm getting over a cold still. So my voice has not completely recovered yet. But one thing that I wanted to talk about, actually, to start off, I wanted to share a quote from one of my favorite historical liberationists, Asada Shakur. She said, "We need to be weapons of mass construction, weapons of mass love. It's not enough just to change the system. We need to change ourselves." And a lot of the time when we put in this sort of work, we feel angry about what's happening around the world. We feel angry about what's happening to our neighbors. But something that should really ground us and sort of bring us back to our roots should be our love for the community, our love for the people around us, and for the people who are not only putting in the same work that we are, but also not capable of putting in the same amount of work that some of us are. It's very important to make sure that none of us get left behind in the trek for collective liberation. A few months back, I organized a sort of mutual aid market. We had quite a few things going on in there, but one specific thing that I would really like to touch on was the community swap table, which, as Charlotte and Tim were saying, it's pretty easy to just set up a table on a sidewalk or in a building in your garage or something, and lay out some things that you don't need anymore. We did something similar at the mutual aid market, where it was basically anything from clothing to house supplies, to hygiene supplies, to first aid, to school supplies, all sorts of things. But we had a table laid out, and it said, "Leave what you can, take what you need." And this is a sort of like idea that we should bring into our hyper local communities in our very specific neighborhoods, because you never know what someone might be in need of just right around the corner from your own house. So, as I said, it's very easy to set up. You just need a table and some things that you probably don't need anymore. Something else that I did as well was if somebody in the area was in need of something specific, I shared this online beforehand. So if somebody had this thing that somebody needed, they could bring it to the community swap table. And as you get started with something like this, the community swapping, it's not you definitely have to keep it small and keep it relational, as Jody was saying before. Because if you don't know anybody, then how are you going to know how you can support them? How are they going to know how they can support you? It's very important to really get to know each and every person that you do this work with, because that's ultimately that's what we're trying to get back to our roots of knowing everybody around us and making sure that we can all take care of each other without having to invest our time, our labor into a war economy, such as buying from corporations when we could just get the same thing from someone down the street. And we everything that we need, or at least most things that we need, are they're here local to us. You do not need to go to Target, unfortunately, as much as so many of us love shopping at Target. Um, we could get the same exact thing from somebody around the corner from our own house. Going back to what Nadia said as well, like a lot of people are attracted to artistic, creative endeavors. This is something else that we had at the mutual aid market, was a community arts table. And as well as this, if there were students who needed art supplies, school supplies, or some such, any donations, monetary donations that I had gathered prior to this market, put it toward school supplies and things that students might need as well. So people can just come and take whatever they need off of this table as well. Um, I put this market on, I think, in August. But it was honestly, it was a bit larger than I had anticipated. It was a little hard for me to keep up with everything. So I go back again to keep it small, keep it relational, because it just makes it so much easier to get to know everybody on an individual level and to find out exactly what your community is in need of. What sort of shortcomings does this community have, and how can we bring everybody up together?
Neander, thank you so much. You're so inspirational. No
Thank
wonder
you.
everybody loves following you. Thank you. So we had a space here for Linda, but I don't see that she's joined us yet. I mean, she's in the middle of doing hers, so maybe Marie, you could keep an eye out if she joins. I texted her in case. But I'd love to have Macy talk, because Macy's another local up in Spokane, Washington, that's been cultivating a local peace economy, and she just did a share. But I'd love to hear your voice and your share, Macy. You're a great leader up there.
Thank you very much. I was just gonna say, because you said free table and I thought garage sale, that my favorite way to get to know my community will always be going to garage sales. And if you think about it, you know a lot more about the people in your neighborhood. You see how they live, you see what their interests are. You really know what it's like to be close to their life, seeing their things, and they're kind of like sitting ducks for starting conversations. Sometimes they're having a garage sale because they're moving, and they'll tell you like a little life story. And I've actually made some of the best friends I have out here from going to people's garage sales. And my answer for where did you get it about anything I have is my neighbor's garage sale. So I wrote a paper for sociology on that, and I wish I could find it. If I do, I'll send it your way. And I think, I don't know, like what I had written about in that paper was how there is no relationship between our purchases anymore. And I was younger, and you weren't here. I was just learning things, but I felt like it was very alienating. To have things from stores. Of course, that's not such an unusual thought now, knowing all of you, but but that was my project, you're supporting people directly, you know, with money is not going to the economy, the war economy, it is going to people. So that's what came to mind. As far as building community, I mean, we have a really weird rural area. It's all like ferries and split up peninsulas, and it's been interesting to see Palestine bring that region together to where there's contact between our neighbors who are really very close if it weren't for ferries, you know, and having to drive around weird land water combinations. That I heard somebody say recently that she felt more isolated out here than ever right before October 7th, and now she has a stronger community than she ever has. Speaking for these places that are so divided, this is a lot of signal organizing, a lot of like taking trips over to other people's areas, like going to somebody's art show that's an hour or so away, and then they'll come back up to our library program or join somebody for bannering, and so that they now move among different communities. And all I can say about that is the issue was important enough. But I've never seen that kind of connection out here. I mean, at all. Like the places just didn't know each other. We had, this is again about Palestine, and that's probably just the best I can do right now, but we had our Palestine group as just individual people. My friend and I would stand out on the side of the road with signs that just said peace or ceasefire. And we didn't know anybody like us until some other people the next town over went out on the street holding signs that said peace and ceasefire. And we'd been looking for each other so hard without finding until we just went out and like publicly announced our purpose. And we're able to be together since then and grow.
There you go.
Thank you, Jody. It's a little bit.
You took us right back to where I started. It was like, it's really about the doing, and in the doing, the magic happens. So Macy, it's like, and what brings us together? And then how do we share? And, you know, I would say that everybody except, you know, Tim and Charlotte, who've really been at this, is talking about having it birthed out of a peace economy, which is the Palestinian economy, which has always been a peace economy, which holds on to that. It's like when we wear our keffiyehs, we are wearing the, you know, the farming of the olives and the fishing net. So, and it's that connection to earth, connection to caring for each other, that is the fuel for liberation. It is the fuel for this work. So staying fueled, I think is the part of it. It's like by staying in the peace economy, our hearts stay nourished and cared for, and we're operating out of love, which is the peace economy. So I want to just thank all of you who are doing this locally for sharing. And we're now going to break into kind of like talking about ideas of what could happen locally where you are for Mother's Day. I kind of want to do this a little bit differently, Marie, because I feel like there's some Bay Area folks, there's some LA folks, and I'm wondering if we could maybe break into more kind of locally related groups. So they might be, some of them a tad bigger. So maybe Northern California, Southern California, and then we could do let's see, who else do we have here? What do we do? Maybe in the Northern California, we could have Northern California to Canada, and maybe Southern California across to New Mexico, and then the middle of the country, and then the East, and see how that works.
I'll have
Is
to
it
recreate the rooms. So,
Mhm.
let me,
Lynn from Oregon can go in Northern California.
I, I
Is that
can make it so that they can join themselves, like they can choose
yeah,
which
yeah,
one they
yeah.
want to be. Okay.
Looks like
But
we could have Oregon and Washington could be one, if we could do that.
okay.
Okay, so
I'll,
Oregon and Washington. Um, the Northern California, Southern California, uh, and then Middle America, and you can choose where you want to go, and the East. And then once you're all in your room, I might move some of you older term folks over to another room just to keep some balance. But let's see how that works. And really share like what inspires you, questions, learn from each other. What would be a lovely thing that on Mother's Day could bring the community of activism together with maybe mothers in need? I know, Cynthia's looking at that they're doing the walk across the peace walk across the Golden Gate Bridge. But is there something like people could bring that then afterwards they deliver it to a refugee moms center or oh, Canada, Ontario, middle of America, the middle of the country-ish. Joe, if that works for you.
I made a Canada space for people.
Is there enough Canadians?
I, if you find yourself in that, come back out and that you're the only person in the Canada one, Joe,
Maybe
like,
Middle America. I think we only have three, and well, we'll see. We'll see. We'll move you around if we don't think they're balanced. But let's start relationally, and learning from each other in our part of the world.
okay.
So, when you're gonna make that live and people can choose, right?
Right. So I'm going to stop the recording and then we'll go
Cool.
to breakouts.
Cool.